tips of how we can make our outsides look a little bit better and keep that winter skin glowing. Next, we've got Hayley Dutton, who is a makeup artist and national trainer at Rimmel London. And Hayley is going to take us through how we can apply foundation flawlessly and a little bit more information about Rimmel, their history, and how their philosophy is about letting you be true to yourself and letting that true self shine through.
Awesome. Over to Rimmel London.
Hey guys, it's Hayley here. So nice to be the afternoon with you. For the next 20 minutes, the beautiful Jess and I are going to be running through all things base with you guys. So when you're creating the perfect base, there's a question that we need to look at first, and that's what type of skin do you have? So once you know what type of skin you have, then you can go and choose what product is perfect for you. So what type of skins are we looking at? So you've got normal, dry, oily combination, and in the Rimmel range we have got a product for everybody. So if you've got normal skin, our Match Perfection foundation is great, great for all skin types, and has a really light coverage. So just have a look for the blue lid on that one. If you're really oily and you need that shine control, our Lasting Matte is awesome. It gives you that full day shine control, helps with minimizing pores, so a really great one for those with oily skin. If you love that glow, and that's what I love, everybody knows my favorite skin is glowing skin, the Lasting Radiance is for you, and you'll be able to see that, identify that with the orange lid. So that's going to help give you that beautiful glowing skin and finish. And if you have a combination skin, the Lasting Finish is this little bad boy for you. So with the Lasting Finish, it's actually a 25-hour foundation enriched with a comfort serum. So what can happen sometimes with the long wearing foundations is they can be quite heavy and cakey on the skin. So the comfort serum that's enriched in this formula means it's a really comfortable, beautiful wear through the day. So now that we know what foundation we're going with, I'm actually going to go with the Lasting Finish today on Jess. What we need to do is make sure the skin's prepped. So we always want to have beautiful, clean, moisturized skin. And the first step is to go in with a primer. So I'm actually going to go in with the Lasting Finish primer. And what that is going to do is help give a little bit of longevity. So to help to keep that foundation on longer, wearing through the day. So with your primer, it's like a moisturizer. You want to have that, apply that all over the face. So I'm just doing that to Jess now. She's got a beautiful moisturizer on at the moment. So we're just going in and spreading that all over the skin. And I would also pop that on the eyes as well, but we're not sort of going to be doing eyes today. So I'm just leaving that out. And then blending is important. And I actually bring the residual product down through the neck as well. Okay. So the next tip for your perfect base is mixing the right foundation color. So basically selecting your shade. So I always say in your makeup kit, you should always have at least two shades. So a really light shade that would be more appropriate for winter, and then a darker shade that works well for summer. And then all the way through those months in between, you can actually mix up your shade to get the perfect shade. So I've actually done that already for Jess, and I've mixed her a 200 and a 400. And with application, everybody's different, guys, and there's no right or wrong. You might prefer to use your hands to apply. You may have a beauty blender that you love. On that note, make sure you're washing it after at least every use. I think sometimes we get to wash our beauty blenders and they're our little haven for nasty stuff. Sponges and also brushes. As a makeup artist, it's really important for me to always be using brushes for hygienic reasons, but also I love that I can actually blend and really buff that product into the skin. So essentially what happens is we can get that product into the pores, and then the makeup and the foundation looks like it's coming from within the skin, not sort of sitting on top. So I'll always use a synthetic brush to apply, and I always use circular motions when I'm applying, just to make sure we really get that buffed and blended into the skin. So again, just using those circular motions, going up underneath the eyes. Just looking up on the Jess. And I always apply a light layer first because you can easily layer up afterwards. So, you know, places like the nose, the chin and the forehead are areas that really do tend to wear through the day. So we can actually layer those areas up if we need to. And also using concealer as the next step as well. So as you can see, I really kind of get into that buffing motion. And again, bringing that residual product down onto the neck, because we want to have a seamless blending of colour. We don't want to sort of cut off at the chin. And you'll notice as well that I always start my product in the center of the face and then work outward. Okay, the next thing is using concealer. So I actually love using concealer as a highlighter as well. So I'm actually going to go in with the Lasting Finish concealer. Each of our families have a concealer and a foundation in that family. So it's nice to kind of stick with the same product, unless you are looking at different sort of outcomes that you're wanting. You know, if you're extra dry under the eye area, you might want to actually go in with a lasting radiance. It really just depends again on the skin type. So when I apply my concealer, I always choose a shade that's about 2 shades lighter than the skin tone. And when I apply it under the eyes, I actually go for a triangular shape because I want to use that lighter concealer to help bounce the light out, just so that that area appears light, and that helps with combating any dark circles under the eyes. As we start to age, Jess doesn't have to worry about that. She's a spring chicken. But, you know, you sort of mid-30s and upward, when the face starts to change, you might want to add that concealer and highlighter through here and in here, any areas that are sort of receding backward that we want to bring forward. Again, so just placing that product under there and then using your foundation brush to blend that through. Okay, so that's our foundation and concealer. The next stages to creating a perfect base are all about shaping, defining, and adding color. So when we talk about shaping and defining, we're talking about contouring and highlighting. So you don't want to just have your face, you know, one-dimensional. We want to add those elements to bring the dimensions out of the face. So we've got a couple of really beautiful contouring products. We have our contour stick, which is a cream product, and we also have our contouring sculpting palette, which is actually a powder. So it depends on what you like to work with. I love working with both creams and powders. I find that cream products are actually a little bit more natural. So I'm going to show you that whichever type of product that you're using, I'm going to show you the angle that you use for a contour. So generally speaking, what you want to do is look at the corner of the mouth to the corner of the ear. So that angle there just sits underneath the cheekbone. That's where you apply your product. And you also just cupping underneath the cheekbone, and you don't want to bring that product in any more than the middle of the eye, otherwise it starts to really drag the face in. So with this product, super easy to apply straight from the tube. And then I'll always use an angled brush for my contouring. So a slightly fluffy brush that's got an angle on it. And then basically you can just use that brush to blend it upwards. So I really love to bring that contour color up into the cheeks because it helps to warm the cheek up a little bit and give you some color. Now I'm going to show you what I would do if I used a powder. So again, very similar process. Just get a little bit of your powder. Again, looking at your angles from the outer corner to the middle of the ear, applying it and then blending that up into the cheekbones, just to sort of start to warm that area up. So again, applying, blending upward to warm the cheek. All right, so the next step is the opposite. So contouring is kind of like wearing the black dress, and then highlighting is bringing that area out. So I love to give a pop of highlight to the orbital bone. So this is going to help make those cheekbones pop. So you've got a couple of different shades. Generally speaking, I go for the pinky kind of tones when we have a darker skin, and more of the white pearlier tones on a lighter skin. I'm going to give Jess a little bit of a mix of all the colors because they're quite a nice little triage there. So when we're talking about highlighting the cheekbone, this is the orbital bone here. So it's the top of the cheekbone, the angle that runs up to the sort of the edge of the eyebrow. So that's where you want to place your highlighting product. Just be careful when you are applying your highlighting product. You don't want to bring that product into the under eye area. So we definitely steer clear of that area there. So again, just on that orbital bone and up to the edge of the eyebrow. So that's where we're placing our highlight. So now when we add a bit of color and we talk blush, the blush is sort of the area that bridges the two. So it bridges the contour and the highlight. So we placed our contour through here. That gave us a bit of shape and definition. We placed our highlight on the top. Now we're going to place our blush on the section in between that, kind of connecting the two areas together. So I like to use sort of like a quite a fluffy brush with a bit of an end point tip on the end. Make sure it's fluffy. If you have the product too rigid, it kind of sticks to the one section. So what you want to do is be able to really disperse that colour out. And you're applying that again in that middle section on the apples of the cheeks and just bridging up and going over the highlight and the contour on both sides. And some people love a lot of blush, some people not so much. So it's really just up to you. Just make sure you're kind of sitting that colour in the middle. We've done a little bit of eye work prior to this and a bit of mascara. And I've also done a beautiful nude lip on Jess. The other thing that I like to do with my cheek products and lip products is actually use the one product across both areas. So if you are actually not thinking of using a powder blush, you could actually go in with your nude or pink lip, apply it to the lips, pop a little bit on the back of the hand, and then pat that into that area as well. So that just means you've got a couple of different uses for your lipstick. You don't have to just use it on the lipstick itself. So just to recap, so with the perfect base, working out what skin type you have, choosing a foundation that works for that skin type, going in with your primer, beautiful blend and light layer of foundation all over the face, then going in with your contour, your highlight and your blush to bridge the gap. Now, I think we have time for some questions actually, so I might just have a look and see what questions we have. Oh wow, we've got quite a few questions, which is awesome. So the first one is, I have dry to combination skin with large open pores. Please suggest a good primer and foundation. Absolutely. So the Lasting Matte Foundation is our foundation perfect for oily skin and pore minimization. We also have a primer in this range, so really, really great combo for those two. Also, if you have combination skin, you might actually find that you have dry areas and you have oily areas. And if you do have a combination skin more on that side, I'd be going in with the Lasting Finish. And you might even want to use the Lasting Matte Primer in the areas, usually the T-zone where it's quite oily, and then going in with this foundation all over, because it's still going to give you that moisturization. So it's not going to be drying the face out too much. So that's something to think about there. Okay, so the next one, I have olive skin. Should I be wearing a shade lighter or darker or the same color? So with your, whatever shade you are, for your foundation, you always want to be going for a shade that suits you at that time. So if you're olive at the moment, you just want to make sure that you're using your décolletage to work out what shade you are. We never use our hand or our jaw to find our shade. We always use the décolletage, because when you're looking at someone straight on, automatically the eyes look around this area for a comparison in terms of shade. So always test out what shade you are here. And if you need to mix up your foundation, as I said, that's totally fine. Just have your winter shade and your summer shade and mix that up through the year. Okay, what else have we got? Do you recommend the Lasting Finish Primer for someone with large pores in the T-zone? Oh, there we go. So we've covered that. So what I would say is that if you do have really large pores and you are quite oily through the T-zone, you could go in with the Lasting Matte Primer but still use the Lasting Finish Foundation. Okay, I'll just have a look and see what else have we got. Any tips for contouring with very pale skin? Yes, so you really need to make sure that whatever shade you are, when you're using a contour color, when you're choosing a contour color, you're always choosing a color that's 2 shades darker. So if I'm super pale, I want to be looking for a pale contour color that's 2 shades darker. So in our contour stick range, we do actually have a really light version, which is really nice for those of us who are quite pale. So yeah, the last thing you want to do is be getting the racing strips going on with the the orange under the cheek situation. So yeah, just make sure that whatever shade you're looking for, it's 2 shades darker than your skin tone. So that will still work for someone who's quite pale, because I'm also quite pale. Okay, so I don't wear makeup myself. What would you recommend in terms of teaching my daughter how to apply makeup? That's a really important one, actually. And I think, you know, we should all be exposing our daughters to how to apply makeup earlier on, because goodness me, they're right into it. As soon as they hit 12, they are like getting into it. So really good question. I think BB creams are a really nice option for younger girls because they've got beautiful skin and they really don't need to cover it up. So BB creams are a beautiful option. They've got, you know, your moisturizer, your concealer and your coverage, your SPF, your primer, everything in the one product, but a really light option. So it's kind of almost like a tinted moisturizer. So I'd be teaching her that less is more. So a beautiful BB cream, maybe a little bit of mascara, you know, and a bit of a gloss to start with. But yeah, it's definitely really important to educate the young ones around less is more as they're starting to play with makeup. But you know, at Rimmel, we're all about, you know, there's no rules, and we're all about, you know, just using makeup to feel confident. So, you know, we also want to get that across as well. And, you know, it's a really nice space for young girls and guys to play with color and play with makeup. And, you know, whatever is making you feel good, that's what you should do. We don't really stick to rules. We do what makes us feel amazing. Any other questions? I've probably got time for one more question. So I'll have a look and see what else I've got here. Okay, so I have paused that show when trying to cover up. I have combination skin, olive. When it's hot, I melt so badly sweating. What do you suggest for this? Oily stuff breaks me out. Yeah, absolutely. So what you want to do there is really go for something that's lighter in coverage. What can happen when you're putting on something, especially with oily skin, if you're using a product that is, you know, heavy and liquid, it actually oxidizes on the skin and you can actually start to see the pores, and it looks like it's breaking up on the face. So I would suggest go in. First of all, maybe try something a bit lighter, like I said, a BB cream. Second of all, try maybe one of your, you know, foundations geared at oily skin, so the lasting matte, and see how that goes. And our cult powder is the Stay Matte powder. So this little baby flies off the shelves, you know, 1 trillion of them a second, or some ridiculous statistic like that. So this Stay Matte powder is actually being geared for oily skin. It gives you that, you know, 8 hour of oil control, and it also helps to minimize pores. So dusting a light amount of your powder over the top to set your foundation can help too. But I know it feels like a weird thing to do, to put less on to cover, but when you do have that issue with oily skin and the product kind of breaking away on the skin, you do have to think less is more. And guys, I think we're all out of time. I mean, I could talk to you guys about this all day. Thank you so much for spending the afternoon with us. I hope you enjoyed the rest of your sessions, and I'm going to hand you back to the guys. See you later, guys. Bye.
Hayley, thank you so much for that. It was fantastic to see. I mean, someone mentioned here on the chat that it looks like you need a degree to do that. You made it look easy. I think we all took some tips from that. For me, must use a primer. I was even talking to Sharon while you were saying it. Must use a primer, must remember. I also love that, you know, you had some great conversations around how to talk to our daughters and talk to younger girls about how to use makeup. And, you know, Sheena on the chat mentioned just a tip for the mamas out there, that she lets her girls play with makeup at home in their room so they can practice and be creative and wash it all off when they're done. So I think that was just a really nice additional thing for the guys to talk about as well. So thank you.
Yeah, I think I just want to make a note that we hadn't seen any of that webinar before we put our own makeup on. So no judging. It'll be better next time, I promise. So yeah, I certainly learnt. I think I actually personally go a little bit heavy on the highlighter, and not to that great tip about just doing it on the tip of your cheek and not across your whole eye socket. I might take that one on board.